This particular company that I'm working with right now, they're growing like gangbusters. They doubled their business in maybe 2 or 3 years. Is just a crazy number. And to do that, we go in every 45 days and recalibrate and look at processes. And it's a team facilitation. And HR is talking, and production and operations is talking, and sales is in the room, and marketing is in the room. I mean, can you imagine having marketing and finance and all these people in the same room talking? Like,
welcome to the Business Ownership Podcast, brought to you by Awareness Strategies, helping you navigate the waters between entrepreneurship and ownership. Hey there, peeps. This is Michelle Nedlak, and I am super glad that you're here with us today because I am here with my most amazing guest, Catherine. Catherine, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Michelle. I'm excited to get to chat.
Nice. So give us a highlight of who you are and what you love to do for business.
Fun. That's an awesome question. My name is Catherine Cantey. I am the founder of Business Vitality, and we partner with businesses, executives, leaders, and teams, and we create measurable leadership change. We do that using practical applications, and the results are we are accelerating the growth for these leaders within an organization. So it's a lot of fun. It took a lot of time to figure out, but it's working and I love it. And so for fun in business, that's what I get to do.
Nice. I love it. So how did you get into leadership as your thing?
Gosh, that is the one thing that keeps businesses remaining vital month after month, year after year, decade after decade. If you don't have a really good leadership team in there, you're only as so good as your weakest link. And I've seen a lot of businesses come and go just because I spent 20 plus years in corporate banking and traveled around the country, and you could really see who was the leader and who could make decisions and who couldn't. And so I loved getting to learn from everybody else, but then also I read a lot of books and still read a lot of books. And Marshall Goldsmith wrote a book about what got you here won't get you there. And I really dug into his work, and it's a really, kind of a longer story, but I adapted his framework for my own career and have since become a master executive coach using his framework. And so that's kind of what got me down this path of blending corporate experience with the coaching 40 years, 4 decades of proven framework that he has. And I blend the two together and help others create the results that they're looking for.
Nice. I love it. So who do you work with now? Who's your ideal client, or who do you love working with?
I love working with really busy CEOs and executives, senior vice presidents, directors, people at the top of the organization. These are the folks that I've been working with the longest, all the business owners that are out there, and people that anywhere from 10 million in revenue. I've been within organizations that are 300 billion with a B in size. So all kinds of leadership opportunities with these types of businesses. And we are sitting down, mapping out what their unique problem is, what they need to solve. I've got one example where we're working with a $700 million sales company and created some new executive roles to allow the business to grow. And these are amazing, talented people within the organization, but we just need to bring them up just a little bit more, stretch people 1% more. I've got one client that says, no, we need to stretch them 2% more. So in this one instance, we stretch them 1% more. And we create measurement along the way. And it doesn't matter what I think, doesn't matter what the leader thinks. It only matters if the people around them see improvement. So we're working with some of these new executives, and we're rising them up to the new occasion. And the funny thing is that others around them at the end of this engagement, they said, well, first of all, I got time back in my day, Catherine. So that was a win-win because they're not calling me and their people are not calling me anymore. So that was the win-win. But he said, it has also created kind of a buzz in the company because these people have physically transformed in the organization just within a short time frame. So they're acting different, they're talking different, they're getting results differently. And kind of funny that some of these folks that I work with, they say, they kind of got on my nerves before. They were just this overachieving, always in my face, always wanted to call me, and we tempered it back. And they are more of a cool, calm, collected executive, and that's what I need to represent my company. So we're working with all kinds of just high potential people that just need that fine tuning to take them to the next level.
Nice. Love it. So what are some of the guiding principles with which you're working on? What kind of elements are you focused in on?
Yeah, so I'm looking for 3 main things for these leaders to succeed. It's going to be courage, humility, and discipline. You got to have the courage to be able to show up and do this work. You have to have the humility to receive this information. You need the discipline to stand up day in and day out and continue to do this. And really strong leadership depends on courage, humility, and discipline. And I was just in a group session this morning. We're doing a 45-day cadence, and it's a team facilitation, and we're checking in with them, and we're creating that repetition. We're creating that discipline of having these conversations, and then we're having them come in the room and share what they're learning. And they really have to be humble. And we did a values and a core values exercise at the beginning of this. And, they had fun with it, but they were like, well, I'm a little bit humble because I'm in here sharing my information. So it's kind of fun. They're just having a good time with it. And, some of them raised up and said, my ego is really important. And so we talked about it, but the most successful people we're working with, they have courage, they have humility, and they have discipline to keep showing up and doing that. And I think that's what a good leader is.
Nice. I love it. So other than not having those kind of traits, what are some of the mistakes that you see in leadership roles that people are trying to do, thinking that they're good leaders? And it's like, yeah, no, don't do that anymore.
Yeah, I did a whole LinkedIn Live, on Monday of this week. So Monday's date was February 13th. Yes. Yeah. So I did this whole 30-minute segment of everything that's wrong with leadership. So let me think of just a few of them. One of them, I was speaking with a CEO, and he just couldn't decide. He was like, I don't know if I should invest in them or not invest in them. And so in that instance, I was like, you're right. You can decide whether or not you want to invest in these people or not. But what I know based off of this framework, we will either grow them up or we will grow them out. And how much time do you want to waste on this individual, knowing that maybe they could or they couldn't do it? And so that indecisiveness is really something that's going to hold back leadership and hold back opportunity. And it is scary because you got to decide, I'm going to invest in them, but is it going to be more? Is it going to be a better ROI if you go ahead and just invest in them and just figure out they are where they are and that's where they need to stay? And now we know. Or what if we could just stretch them a little bit further and let them run and let them see what they can do? And then the third option is, oh my gosh, they totally don't fit this organization anymore. Wouldn't you want to know earlier than down the road that this is not going to be a good fit? So, that was one conversation we had. And just this, this indecisiveness, I think is really important, and being able to make a decision, commit to it. I would say that's one of the number one issues that I see out there with leadership, just fear of commitment.
Well, and I would think somebody in that position as well would be much more advantageous to hire you and go through that process with them, because of what they're going to learn as a leader while you're doing your thing with them to figure out whether or not they fit or not. So even if they don't fit, and it's not just because of the way it's working, it's really an investment in the upper leadership to know how to have these conversations and how to see things, because it's not just about the person that they've hired, it's about every other person that they're going to hire.
Yeah. I mean, you as a leader in the organization, you need these people to stretch that are around you, because you need to keep pushing stuff to them. And if you're not giving them the tools to really elevate and figure out better ways to use their time in the day, and if we're not figuring out ways to create more time and more bandwidth in your day as the key leader of the organization, you're just going to keep running in that hamster wheel, and it's never, ever going to stop, and you're never going to be able to grow the business. And so we see it time and time again. You're just going through the motions, and you're reactive and reactive and reactive. And we've got to stop the chaos and be able to create a proactive day and a proactive routine. And it starts with that discipline and humility and courage to be able to take that first step.
I love it, because I know a lot of leaders too, think that putting more and more on somebody's plate is pushing them. And more often than not, they're taking a person who, wants to achieve and just keeps piling on them.
You can't do that to people. And I personally lived through it when I was in corporate. The section at the bottom of the job description that says as other duties defined, like that section then becomes like 80% of your job. And the rest of it that was supposed to be the 80%, now you're at 160%. You can't do it. And so my days in corporate was working in sales and working in operations, which people said that doesn't really mesh, but I guess I was a weird black sheep, and I figured out how to make sales and operations come together and communicate. And as a result, we begin to ask why. And we do that a lot with coaching. Well, why are you doing that? And what's the point behind it? And how can we reframe why we're doing this and teach other people around us? Because maybe we don't need to do something anymore and we can let certain things go. And just like I mentioned earlier, the book, What Got You Here Won't Get You There by Marshall Goldsmith. I mean, we don't need to keep doing the same thing. As we're growing as leaders, we're going to get smarter. We're going to be able to learn from mistakes. Not all of our failures are going to be a flop. We're going to be able to turn some of this into a success. And I know even when I was in the operations center, I would sit down with key managers and I would ask them, okay, this is the legal agreement that we're using. Do you need all this information on the form? And they said no. I was like, great, what do you need? And they told me, and we just reorganized it and we streamlined it. And they said, this is what worked 12 years ago, but it doesn't work anymore. And so we paused, we built in the time of the day to sit down and really understand, what do you need? What order do you need it in? So if you're keying it in, you're not having to flip between pages, and really make it easier for them. So what we used to be doing, we don't need to be doing anymore.
Wow. And I think that becomes more kind of common with companies that have been around for a while, because they've decided at some point that this was the best way to do it at that time. And it probably was. It's like, so how often with a company that has longevity would you recommend going in and doing an overhaul like this to figure out kind of what is antiquated and what isn't anymore?
I think we need to see what the growth is for the company. If they're growing like gangbusters, this particular company that I'm working with right now, they're growing like gangbusters. They doubled their business in maybe 2 or 3 years. Is just a crazy number. And to do that, we go in every 45 days and recalibrate and look at processes, and it's a team facilitation. And HR is talking, and production and operations is talking, and sales is in the room, and marketing is in the room. I mean, can you imagine having marketing and finance and all these people in the same room talking? Like when I was in the big corporate, nobody talked to each other. And part of my job over the years was breaking down these silos, whether it was intended or not. I was like, we all have to talk to each other. So in this one instance, we have 10 key leaders with all different roles and experiences and personalities. Good Lord, even the personalities that you bring to the table, they're all there. And we're able, in a 45-day cadence, be able to create accountability and create these small changes. And it could be something small, like you have your DISC personalities or the Enneagrams. You know, can we take this number that's going to help us communicate better as a team, or color that's going to help us communicate better as a team, and be able to put it on their nameplate outside their office, so we know we're heading in. And I know I'm heading in and I'm talking to a red or a D on a DISC profile. And if we know anything about that, they are short and to the sweet and to the point. But if I see a yellow or that I in the DISC profile and I'm heading in their office, I know it's going to be a lengthy conversation, because they're going to want to socialize and chit chat before I can get down to what I need. So when we have these people in the room, we're all talking about personalities. We're talking about processes that are taking place. We've got the different teams talking, and all these little ideas start to bubble up. And if we could just find just some 1% things that we can do better as an individual on each part of this team and how it impacts the other people, I feel like it's going to just continue to exponentially allow the business to grow, and that communication is going to be key. So I think originally I would look at how fast that company is growing, or if they get stagnant, it may be time to jump in there and take a look to see what's going on.
Nice. I love the idea of the colors on the nameplates on the doors. That's fantastic. Yeah. So wish that was there when I had some jobs that I had. And you made a fantastic, an interesting point to me, because I think as a salesperson, to go into a company and they're going, oh, we're doing great, we're doing gangbusters, we don't need to blah, blah, blah. Like we don't need to slow down the process because we're doing great. And in fact, that is the reason that you would want to go in, is so that it's like a Formula One car, right? They get way more maintenance than just a regular car does, because they're going so fast.
Great covers up mistakes. And when businesses hit COVID or businesses hit cycle, this great surplus that was coming in when we were doing fantastic and doing great, that allows for all kinds of mistakes. It allows for all kinds of opportunities to be covered up and taken care of. So when the grade stops, which we all go through these crazy cycles and we may or may not know when they're coming, but when it stops, like, then we're going to get punched and we're going to be like, oh, we were prepared, or oh my God, I didn't see that one coming. And then you've got to be able to bounce back. And we just don't want to look at it when we're great. We want to look at it then too, so then we can pull back and identify what needs to be corrected proactively before that next cycle hits.
Nice. I love it. So when somebody's looking at working with you, does it work best to bring you in when they've hired a new person to start, or is it better that they kind of get their feet wet in the position and then you have something to work with? How do you prefer to work?
Yeah, so we tailor everything to fit the needs of the client. And I have worked with both ends. I have worked with folks that are brand new to the organization and they still provide value. I've worked with folks who have been there for a very long time within the organization. Sometimes we work in team engagements and we're able to have the old and the new together. And, that's even more special because we got the history and then we have the new set of eyes that are questioning everything. And everybody brings a value to the table. And we just need to lift up what that particular value is and create stronger communication on the team. Individually, I think what we do have is I'm looking at a program right now that we're exploring, which is an onboarding program where we'll bring in 30 employees that are new to a contract that's being taken place. And these 30 employees, we need to accelerate their communication together as a team. And we need to accelerate how they're going to be supporting the clients because these are support roles and they're going to have client interfaces. And so we've put together in this particular example, thinking of like new people to the team, is an onboarding. And so for the first 90 days, we've all probably seen it. The number one mistake that everybody makes in the first 90 days is trying to overprove themselves about why they're going to do a fantastic job in this particular role with this company. And they spend so much time trying to talk about how they did it somewhere else and how they excelled all expectations. They just exceeded with all of that in the past. And they get so bogged down with trying to prove themselves, they've missed the point that they're there to deliver this job. And so if we can focus on 90 days of how to build the collaboration effectively in the team, how do we start supporting one another in a way that's going to build each other up? How do we let go of what we've done in the past and really become focused on the future and the goals and how we're going to work together doing that? That onboarding and for 90 days or 180 days, whatever it needs to be, it's going to allow them to stay focused. When you onboard someone new, you can teach them the systems and the emails and the cell phones. You can get all that stuff set up, but it's that little polish. It's that little communication of how do you treat your team and that flow of conversation with other people and providing value to them. Because Lord knows when I've started in my corporate careers, I made a point to go out and meet all the key leaders within the organization before I needed something. And so being able to reach out and be able to provide value first was really instrumental in growing that career and accelerating within an organization. So teaching others how to do that is going to make them more valuable at the company. So we can either go either way. We can start from scratch, or we can take folks that have been there. I have another example, and I'll spare you the details, but sometimes those 10 and 15-year employees, they need to be revitalized, and they are not costing you anything extra. You're not onboarding, you're not recruiting for that position. How do you reinvest in those people for them to be re-energized to come back and give to you?
Nice. I love that. And I was thinking while you were talking about that they, and all of a sudden I had like 10 ideas into my head and going, oh, which one, where do I want to go with that? Because I think when it comes to the onboarding side of things, I've seen so many people before that they almost ruin their position by going, oh, we've done this before, we've done that before. And I really do think it's up to the wisest way to go in, because obviously you are hired by your experience. We know you have the experience. Now you got to figure out kind of what we're doing and then why we're doing it this way, and then kind of fix what's broken. But oftentimes somebody will do something 180 degrees different than you used to do it, but they have a reason why they did it that way. And it's not necessarily that it's broken, and that might be the part that works. And it's this other little tweak over here that we're looking for.
Yeah, it's constantly working on those details.
Nice. And have you noticed when it comes to culture of companies, is there a better way to do it?
Culture. It is. I have seen the organizations that I'm working with that are doing fantastic, and just great results and just getting a little bit better. What they have is that culture. They have
Mhm.
that connection with their team. And I have to tell you, they work at that culture every single minute of every single day. It is exhausting when you look in and see what some of these people are having to do for the culture. And really, the culture is what's separating us from some other company doing the same thing. Do we really want to show up and be with these people? But it starts at the top. Is it important at the top of the organization? How are they leading the culture within the organization? Do they say what they're going to do and then they do it? Or are they saying one thing and then leading with something different? I've also seen that there are folks that hire culture people within the company, and their goal is to make sure that we have events. We're going to make sure that our employees are taken care of. Just like we have the customer experience and the customer mapping, then we look at the EX or the employee experience and that mapping process. What's the onboarding like? What's the review cycle like? How are we taking care of them with team events? Are they organized? Are they casual? Are they fun? How do we know what kind of culture we want to build? And it starts at the top. And if the people at the top don't believe in culture, you've created a job, and everybody can get a job, but you want people to love it. You want them to show up and give them your all. And when there is that sense of family or sense of team, and that bond and a little bit of fun, and constant learning, and you surround yourself with those like-minded people, it's the culture that makes you want to get up in the morning and makes you want to answer the phone when it rings after 6 o'clock at night, because you care about these people like they're part of the team and the family. So culture is so important, and it starts at the top.
Nice. I love it. So what would you say is your favorite part of your business?
It is never the same thing twice. And I think that seems to be the thing that I'm attracted to the most in this world is being able to try different things, see if it's going to work, and taking different ideas from different places and massaging them, bringing them together. And knowing that I'm going to have one client that's going to want to talk about, time management. I'm going to have one client that's going to want to talk about, how do we elevate the executive presence? But it's really taking these topics that are important to them and figuring out what the result is. Why do they need that? The timeline they need to get it done by, and then creating the solution that fits for them. So knowing that there's never going to be two clients that are the same, and then we get to tailor the experience to fit their need, is really magical for me.
Nice. I love it. So give us an example of a Cinderella story of one of your clients.
That is okay. So, gosh, I have, that's a great question. So I have an organization that I've worked with. I've worked with this leader. We change goals about every 6 months, every 6 to 12 months. I've worked with her for a number of years. She started out not real sure about doing any kind of presentation. She was like, I don't really want to get in front of the room, but I'm a learner and I've got a learner mindset. I want to keep growing myself. I want to stretch. And at the time, to be able to stretch for her was to stand in front of the room behind the podium and give a presentation to 100 people. And that was a big deal. And so we walked through it, and I've got a framework behind the coaching, and we talk about it. And she goes through it and she gets up there, and I said, all right, now part of it afterwards, I need you to ask, what are one or two things you can do better next time when you do this presentation? And just ask a few key people that you want to gain that recognition with. And so she did, and she got great feedback. She learned that she needed to get up out of the chair and get away from the podium and walk around the room and gain eye contact with people. And the people that are around you, they know you better than we probably know ourselves. And we may be nervous standing behind the podium talking to 100 people for the first time. But for her, the next time she did this, it was future focused. So it's easier for her to receive the feedback. She hasn't done it yet. Hey, next time, what if you walk outside in front of the podium? And so now she's walking the room, talking, having that physical executive presence in the room, and pulling people out and looking them in the eyes and just really owning it. And she's transitioned over the past 2 years from not so sure that she wants to leave the podium or leave the chair because all the tables are set up and it's just easier to talk to the front in a chair, to the point where now she's mic'd up and she's standing on this huge platform, and she's as far as I can tell, doesn't have notes and is just doing the presentation, walking the stage, like total transformation and appearance.
Nice.
And she'll talk about what it was like before and where she is now. And just that transformation has really been exciting to see. That's the physical part, but then there's the mental aspect that comes with it, to where you're comfortable to being up there. Yeah, you're still gonna have the nervous energy, and that's okay. But the physical transformation was one thing, but the mental transformation that she had to go through to go from, I'm going to walk the room, to being on this platform, speaking in front of a couple hundred people just a few years later, mic'd up like she owned the room, was pretty powerful to get to watch.
Nice. I love that. So people listening to this right now, what kind of things are they going through? What kind of struggles do they have, or pain points do they have that they're going, oh my God, Catherine, I need you so badly?
Yeah, these are the people that their phones do not stop ringing. Like, it is ringing 24/7. You're picking up the phone. You have 200 emails a day. I spoke with one executive. She counted how many meetings she had on her calendar. She had 11 meetings. This is a senior C-suite employee. She had 11 meetings on her calendar. She had 300 emails. This other guy that I was just talking with earlier today had 200 emails. He's like, I can't even get to it. I said, well, how do I communicate with you? And he was like, at this point, just text me. And I'm like, all you're doing is creating a new problem in a new platform. You have an email problem, and now you're training the monkeys to now get to you through text messages, and you're never going to get a break. So if you're overwhelmed and you're running out of time, I know one gentleman that hired me, he was just like, I need people to stop calling me 24/7. I need the team to handle this stuff. And yeah, you're going to have to get your hands out of a lot of stuff. So sometimes it's me working with that senior leader to say, okay, you trust these people, right? They're not going to do it like you've done it, but it's going to happen. And they're in enough pain that they're willing to create change. And that pain of same is now so painful that they have got to stop what they're doing right now, because they've got to create that change. So people who need to find more time in the day and are at the point where they're ready to begin to make some changes, small practical applications, stuff that's been tried and true. We create small milestones. We create small things to implement, to try. You don't marry anything. All you do is just date a couple of ideas over a course of time. And we can help accelerate the results that way. And a lot of times, other CEOs that have reached out to me, they are so tired of having yes people around them. They cannot take it anymore. They need strategic thought partners. This is a huge need that I see coming up, is the organization is growing and there's nobody else thinking besides themselves. And their thinking time is getting interrupted because the phone and the emails, the chat, the Slack messages, and everything else are taking over. So I would definitely say the folks that have no more time in the day, the folks that need more strategic thought partners at the table, we're creating more thought partners as well. And something I found interesting, I was speaking with a group. They hired me because I told them that I can read between the lines, and I really didn't think anything of it. But they told me that's why they hired me, is because I need someone to hear what the person is saying, and I need them to know what they're really meaning and like what's between the lines. And my clients have told me I can push them just a little bit and figure out why it is that they're saying what they're saying, and like, how do we pull them back, or like, how do we decipher what's not being said between the lines, and there's something in there that that needs to be fixed. So those are a couple of examples.
Nice. I love that. That is a fantastic human trick to be able to do, because it can be so hard. It's like, they told me this was the problem. I fixed the problem. We still have the problem. I don't understand what's going on. And that can create a lot of tension within companies, because, that's maybe somebody can't articulate what's going on, or they don't really see what the other problem is. They can't read between the lines of what they're saying, or the other person can't do it on what they're hearing.
So that's a good point, because a lot of times people, they start the conversation with me and they always say, I'm not sure you can help me. I'm not sure how to describe this, but can I just talk to you and explain everything that's going on? So I can take everything that they're talking about, and just like I did this morning with this group of 10 leaders, I was able to highlight 5 or 6 things that really needed to be, accentuated in that conversation or synthesized. And I can do the same thing. If you have a leader, they're not sure where to start, I may or may not be able to help. I know I can help elevate it. Oh my gosh, I was just on the call with somebody else before we jumped on this, and she gave me this long description of what she's looking for. And I said, you're looking basically, after that whole conversation, you're looking for an IT project manager. She said, oh my God, that is all I need. I was like, yeah, it was a 7-minute description of this job. You need to go to LinkedIn. You need to go look at technology and product managers. Those are the job descriptions, and those are the people that you're going to want to hire for this problem that you have. So I'm pretty good at being able to listen to what they need and then pulling it out and then creating an action plan to help them accomplish.
I love that. So I know our listeners are going to want more from you. How did they start that journey with you?
I would love for them to reach out to me. My website is catherinecantey.com. It's with C, so CATHERINE, and then CANTEY.com. If you go out there, you'll see success stories that my clients have been able to accomplish. I've just loved being able to support them and to be able to pay it forward with that. And there's an opportunity to book a call. So if they would like to jump on a call, learn more, and maybe brainstorm for a few minutes and see if it might be a good fit to see if we got a solution, I would love the opportunity. So CatherineCantey.com is a great place to start.
Awesome. And we, of course, have Catherine's links in the show notes, peeps. So just scroll down, click on the link, or click on the phone number, and you'll get sent directly to her. Awesome. So Catherine, at what point in life did you know that you were a special kind of crazy enough to think that you could become an entrepreneur?
20 years ago, I told my husband that I would work in corporate for 20 years while he started up his number of businesses. And so I would say 20 years ago, I knew that I was going to be leaving corporate. I did not know where the path was going to take me, but I knew that I needed to soak in as much as I could because it was only temporary. Even though 20 years sounds like a long time, it flies fast. And now I'm at the point where 3 years ago, I wrote my resignation letter to corporate, and my husband said, there's no way you're going to do that. You're going to be bored. And I was like, we'll figure it out. So I turned in my letter. I think I'm the only person who didn't get a package when you leave. I just went in there and said, it's been fun, but I'm moving on. And they were like, but you're doing a great job. I said, I know, but it's just time. Like, I want to keep learning. I want to keep paying it forward in a new way. And I've been thinking about this for 20 years. They didn't know that, but I had been, and I just went for it. So I guess that it's kind of a quick story. And so now the tables have turned, and I'm out here having fun, paying it forward and helping others along the way.
Nice. I love it. So in your entrepreneurial journey, is there any kind of bloopers that you've gone through and you went, okay, now I can kind of laugh at that?
There's a ton of that. I don't even know where to start. Let's see, entrepreneurial. Well, we flipped a number of houses, and that alone. So we've probably built at least 12 houses in the past, I don't even know how many years. Wow. And through flipping houses, we had a couple houses that were in the same row or in the same section on the same street. And it was kind of funny in the sense that I had them both for sale at the same time, to the point where one sold before the other one. So we cut a hole in the fence, and I put one of those rods, that you get out of the closet, on 2 high school kids' shoulders. And I just piled up all the clothes on their shoulders, and they went down the steps and through the hole in the fence, and they went back up the steps into the new house. And I unloaded my clothes that way. And then when it came to the living room, I had them take the lamp and the table, and I said, all right, now go down through there and, into the next house. And I want that living room set up the same way as this living room. So just stuff like that just keeps popping up. We're finishing a house right now, and the sewer line's not buried, but don't tell the building inspector, but I'm going out now after this to go get the furniture delivered. So we're just going to make it happen. So there's those little bloopers, but that's just kind of the world we live in.
It's just the life of an entrepreneur, and you just keep going. Awesome. Yeah. Catherine, you have been absolutely amazing. Thank you. Any last words for our peeps?
I just want to say thank you so much, Michelle, for having me. I really appreciate it. I respect the work that you're doing. And if there's any way for me to be able to support others, I sure would love the opportunity.
I love it. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And I know how valuable it is.
Thank you.
Peeps, this is Michelle Nedelec. Thank you for being here with us today. Be sure to subscribe to the show and share it with your friends. We love helping entrepreneurs grow.
Are you running a business over 7 figures but still struggling with technology headaches? Pay attention, you do not want to miss this offer. This podcast episode is brought to you by Awareness Strategies, who is offering a custom-built digital adoption roadmap for anyone running a business over 7 figures who's wanting to grow their business in the next 5 years. And it's not just a roadmap, they offer full implementation as well if that scares the out of you. Check out awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap for more details today. The link's in the show's notes. Don't regret not doing this. Do it now. That's awarenessstrategies.com/roadmap.